Hey guys, it's Adam Rose with Western Ohio Mortgage. I'm the Vice President and Senior Loan Officer here in Sydney, Ohio, and this is another episode of the Mortgage Guy Podcast. This week is the one where you get to know Tim Gleason and Realty 2000 Group here in Sydney. And first off, thank you, Tim, for taking the time because I know you're extremely busy. So we're happy to have you on the show.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Appreciate it.
So you've seen the show a couple times. And one of the first things that we like to do is we like to do this new irrational fear thing so we can kind of get to know people a little bit better. And I understand you have one.
I actually have more than one, but I will just focus on one.
Let's go with the most irrational that we have. Oh, and by the way, for the people listening, we're both coffee guys, but since it's after 5 o'clock, cheers to the beers, right?
That's
yeah.
right.
All right.
So my irrational fear.
Yeah, let's hear it. I'm excited.
Very strange.
Okay.
So I am a private pilot. So I've had my pilot's license since I was in my mid-20s. I have a fear of height.
Really?
Yes. Now, it doesn't affect me in a plane because you have wings and an engine. So there is no issue when I'm in a plane.
You know, it's not irrational having a fear of heights, but let me ask you a question. So if you're flying, do you have that fear hit you or like when you're a passenger?
Nope.
Not when you're a passenger?
Nope.
I thought maybe you would have it as a passenger, but when you're behind the controls, like, hey, I'm in control, not somebody else, I won't have it.
As long as it has wings and an engine, I don't have a problem at all.
So we're not, traveling to the top of buildings for a nice lookout. It's
so we went on a trip to France, and we went up in the Eiffel Tower, and I was like paralyzed. I had my back against the tower, and I wouldn't go up anywhere near the gate, the fences, and my kids, they like to kind of mess with me, and tried to get me to go up there, and there is no way.
It's that man-made thing. So what's crazy about that, my wife, we went skydiving, that's nervous. The most scared I've ever been, heights-wise, we were out in Vegas. The stratosphere?
Oh, my gosh.
The needle?
I would not go up it.
So we went there because we were going to go ahead and ride all those roller coasters on top or whatever they had because we'd never been. And it was extremely windy that day. So I'm already like, oh, God, this is going to be terrible. And they said, I'm sorry, you can't go to the top because it's too windy. They said you can check back a little bit. Maybe the weather changed. We stayed there. We gambled for a little bit, about an hour and a half. We went back up there and checked. They said, yep, we're letting people up, and you have to pay money, right, to go ride them. It's not free. And we got up there, and I started crawling because I could feel the sway in the building. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm not going to make it. We did all of them, and it was the scariest thing I ever did. It really was. I think I've had nightmares of buildings falling over.
I think I heard they had to shut the roller coaster down because it was causing structural damage to the building. Had you heard anything like that?
No, this was in 2012 when we did it.
Okay. Yeah,
it was a long time ago.
I think it may not have a roller coaster up there anymore.
They had one that shot you over the edge, you dropped. They had this thing that hung you over and you spun. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I wouldn't do any of that. No way.
I was looking at all the bolts the whole time, right? Which waiting for them to rattle. So Tim, we've been around here a long time, right? So you want to give us a little bit of background on yourself? How long you've been around? Have you always been Sydney? Work histories, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even share a little bit that you might not know, Adam, and we know each other pretty well because, I worked with your mom.
Yep, known each other for a long time.
Even in the business.
Yes.
So my family was very involved in Copeland back in the day. So when I was a little kid, I would sometimes on Saturday mornings go out to Copeland and play in the lobby and things like that. So manufacturing was kind of a background for our family. But that's not what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to go my own route.
Sure, yeah.
And my dad had some friends who were real estate investors, and I really liked the time that they had available and the flexibility they had with their schedules. It wasn't so much tied, to the manufacturing industry of 8 to 5, that type of thing. So I knew at a fairly young age that I kind of wanted to go towards real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm going to kind of jump back and forth a little bit.
That's all right.
So we've lived in Sydney pretty much my whole life. And I graduated from Lehman High School,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to the University of Dayton, and then I came back to Sydney and worked in banking for about 4 years. So the plan was all in place of what I was doing, and knowing that I didn't want to go into manufacturing, the path was to go into real estate, but I wanted to have a fallback.
Sure, yeah,
in case
absolutely.
something went wrong or that just wasn't my cup of tea. So that was going to be banking. So I studied finance, and came back, went to work for First National Bank of Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked there 4 years, and really enjoyed it, had that background. So not only did that give me a background in banking, but it gave me a ton of contacts.
For sure,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So not only, being that I'd lived here my whole life, now I was making those type of adult contacts and that type of thing. So at that point, I decided, okay, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm just going to quit my job at the bank.
Scary.
And go straight into real estate.
Scary,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it is.
Now, the nice thing is I was not married. I did not have kids. So it would have made it a lot tougher.
For sure.
Had I. So I did that. And the plan was, okay, so the real goal was to invest in real estate. And then I'm like, okay, so this is great, but I'm going to need a cash flow a little better than that if I want to live.
To keep it going,
Yeah,
too, right? Because,
right.
You invest in real estate. That's a big upfront investment. You may not see that or
Right.
feel that return immediately.
Exactly.
And we got to move on to the next thing.
Exactly. So that's kind of how I ended up going into the sales part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, so I'm going to need the sales to provide the short-term income.
Sure.
And then the investing will provide the long-term. So that's kind of what I did. And then I ended up falling in love with the selling.
Yep.
as much as the other, but it was, just different,
Right.
different.
Yeah.
So I had never planned on continuing to sell, and I never had intended to own my own real estate company. That was never something
Not in the
I
cards.
had, no.
It's like one of those things, when we go to these mortgage banker conferences and all that, and sometimes the icebreaker is, hey, how did you get in the business? Everybody's like, it wasn't planned. It just kind of fell into my lap.
It did.
That's what Teresa Mom
Yeah.
always says, right? She's like, it's not like I was growing up as a kid. It's like, I'm going to be doing mortgages for a living, 100%, right? No, you just fall into it.
Yeah.
And a lot of real estate agents have said the same thing to me. It just kind of presented itself, and it's like, okay, yeah, let's give this a shot, right? And it kind of worked out for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love what I do. My dad is 92 years old,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
owns a company in Troy, and goes to work every day.
Isn't that crazy?
Last guy to leave. So it's kind of in my blood. I don't plan on ever retiring. I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I may, as I get older, pull back more, but
Sure. Yeah,
I
free
don't-
up some time.
I don't think I'll ever quit.
But if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life.
It
right?
doesn't. That's exactly right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it's
the saying.
It's fun. It's enjoyable.
And you're very vested in the community. I mean, you've been here your whole life. You were talking about Lehman. You were talking about UD. You're a huge supporter of both basketball programs.
Yeah,
Right? Love
right,
that. I
right.
always see you with the UD jacket on. You're at the games, having a ball, and you coach also at Lehman.
So I did coach at
Did
Lehman.
coach at Lehman. Sorry. Correction.
That's okay. No, and then I coached at Edison.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm coaching a CYO, which is high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's not nearly as committed from a time standpoint, and I still get to coach kids. So
Yeah.
it's almost the perfect job because it's high school kids. I get to work with them. I get to teach them, and it's very, very competitive. Matter of fact, this year we went to the state tournament. Lost to the state champions by 4 points.
Oh, wow.
And they were out of Cleveland. So we had an excellent team and a lot of fun, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of
Right.
that.
It's rewarding.
That's one of my favorite hobbies. Another one is pickleball.
Yeah, I've heard. We're not going to go into that. I've heard there's some stories around pickleball. I don't know what it is, but it brings out the aggression in people.
It does. It definitely does. So we have a core group, and it's pretty intense.
I might have to come watch it. So as the owner of Realty 2000, what are some of the challenges you've been facing with this market, especially? How are you guys overcoming some of that stuff?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it requires, you just got to stay after it. You gotta work hard. You gotta try to think outside the box.
Sure. Yeah. Get creative.
Yeah. But it's just it's a tough market right now because there's just people don't want to give up those low interest rates they have.
They don't
and move.
Yeah.
So they're holding on. Now, as they realize that this is going to be a lot closer to the new norm than the rates they had before, they're going to start loosening up a little bit.
Yeah.
We're already seeing a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Here in the month of April. Our activity has picked up tremendously in the last week and a half, which is interesting because normally, it would have picked up in March.
Correct. Yeah.
But we didn't see a lot of that. It was pretty quiet. It's just, you just have to work so much harder right now to try to get those listings. And it's not hard to get them sold as long as you have them priced right.
Correct. Yes, I would agree with that.
So if there's a house on the market that's been on the market for a while, there's a real good chance the price is too high.
Right. Yeah. And in this type of market, you were talking about creative thinking, outside the box thinking. Us at Western Ohio Mortgage, we've created additional product offerings, doing bridge loans, getting people into homes where they don't have to sell their current one or be contingent, so they have that down payment. There's a lot of creative options out there on the financing side. And obviously with this video, right, with this podcast, I mean, really the whole point of this was not only giving a voice to people that are in our local community and spotlighting what's going on, but it's also a branding opportunity for myself and my company, right? So
absolutely.
So it's another, I mean, as much as I hate social media, it's a necessary evil. Yeah. It really is, right? It's necessary for branding purposes, being in front of people, so when someone thinks, hey, I want to buy a house, there was this guy I saw, right? That's the purpose of it.
And not only that, it's kind of fun.
It is fun.
It is.
It's
enjoyable.
I mean, we're sitting here having a beer and just chilling out, right?
So it accomplishes a lot of things.
Absolutely. So on the topic of this tough market, so one of the kind of follow-up questions to that is, let's say we have a couple of people that own a home that are watching this video right now, and they were considering selling, but just not quite there to pull the trigger. Not that I'm trying to give away your top secret sales tactics, but what kind of conversation would you have with them to say, hey, you know what, it's not necessarily a bad time to do such, let's pull this trigger. I mean, what do you say to them?
It's actually a great time.
It is
to sell.
I really think it is
great time. So if if I was in your house and you said, Tim, we're just not sure that now's the time, I'd say, Adam, I mean, this is a great time. It's a wonderful market for a seller.
It is
just a wonderful market. There's not near enough inventory, and we have a ton of pent up buyers. Demand.
There's so many buyers,
just unbelievable. Yeah. So I would say to you, it might not be what it was last spring, which was just. I mean, we've never seen a market like that, where you would get 3 and 4 offers and they would get into a bidding war.
Right. Appraisal gaps.
Right.
I mean,
it was
clauses.
just
it's crazy.
nuts. Yeah.
And there's some markets that are still similar to that. We have LOs down south in Cincinnati. They're saying, hey, man, we're getting beat out because we got cash offers flying in and $80,000 over ask. Is crazy.
It is crazy.
But yeah, I mean, that's the selling point for a seller.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think some sellers have a fear of, well, if I list, where am I going to go?
That is the challenge.
There's some options there, though, to protect them.
Absolutely.
On those contracts, right?
Yeah. Well, what we do, if it's someone who doesn't, have or, specifically has found the house of their choice,
right,
then what we'll do is we'll put into the contract that it will be contingent on them finding and securing the home of their choice. So there are all sorts of ways to protect sellers.
Absolutely.
And it's actually a great way to go because now you've got a ready buyer. All you have to do is find your house, and boom, you can put the deal together.
And if we could get all those people to understand that is an option.
That is the challenge.
It's about buyer and seller education and getting that word out. Another reason why this podcast is out there, and we hope people keep sharing it, that it is a great opportunity to sell right now. It truly is, because you're not going to have any more value in your home than you do today. Right. I'm telling you.
No, that's right.
Great opportunity. And, from a buyer standpoint, we get that question a lot, like, hey, should I wait? When's the crash happening? I'm sorry. I don't think we're going to have a valuation crash because it's a simple supply and demand issue, and they're not going anywhere.
It is.
They're just not going anywhere on valuations. So I always tell people, if you find that house that's just perfect for you, you've got to pull the trigger, because it might be in the right area that you're searching for, the right size, the right price point in the country, whatever you're looking for. You got to pull the trigger because you may not get it again.
Right.
That's it. End of story. It's that whole, date the rate, because you can always refinance, right? These rates are not going to stay where they're at.
Right.
And the thing is, that 4.5 to 5.5 range, that is a normal market, and we're going to be getting back to it at some point.
Right.
So if you find the house that you love, you just got to pull the trigger.
Well, it is funny to hear people talk about how bad the rates are.
Oh, they're just terrible.
How
right.
Like,
here we go.
These are good rates. They're not what you guys are so spoiled by what we've had.
Yeah, we were tremendously spoiled.
I mean, it's just crazy.
2 years of 2.5s.
Right.
It's unheard of.
It is
unheard of. And we'll never see it again. I get that question a lot. You think we'll see it again? Unless something really, really, really bad happens, no.
I do get people, who will say to me, so when do you expect the crash to happen? And I say, I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, there is no crash coming.
Yeah.
We have had the supply has just not grown. New construction, after the Great Recession, I mean, it just changed so much about the market. So,
it sure did.
Yeah.
And now, Realty 2000, I mean, you guys are one of the biggest brokerages, if not the biggest brokerage here in Shelby County. How do you maintain that? And how do you keep your agents at the forefront of either education, changes in the industry, just keeping them moving to be their best they can be?
We, over time, we have had just a phenomenal training program.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while you have to tweak it and adjust, to something new.
Mm-hmm.
But the training is where it's really crucial, especially for the new agents. And then we have
office
meetings where, we'll go over, what's going on with the market, what's the latest,
Sure. Yeah.
Because we are the professionals, and it's up to us to be able to educate the customer, the clients, on what's going on in the market. So the training is really the real key. We're very picky about who we bring into the company as far as agents goes.
Sure.
I truly believe there are a lot of companies that will take any warm body.
They'll just take a body.
Yeah, sure, we'll take you.
Yeah.
But we are very, very picky, because if you're not a team player, I don't want you. I want team players. And,
Sure.
and maybe that's the coach in me, but it has worked. Every once in a while you'll get someone to slip by who's
Sure.
not a team player, and you got to cut the ties.
Right.
Because no matter how much you sell, you have to be able to work with the team. And that's a big part of our culture.
Right. And there's always going to be those things that someone's going to think the grass is greener.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just normal.
It is.
It just
normal.
happens. So you're going to have some turnover, but consistently, I'm always looking at agents and websites and stuff like that. You guys, your numbers are consistently right at the tippy top.
Yeah.
So to keep that is impressive.
Thank you.
I gotta say that is very impressive. So I mean, with that in mind, we're talking about culture. I do see, I'm friends with pretty much all the agents on Facebook.
Right.
I mean, we all know each other. Hell,
oh yeah.
If you're an agent in Sydney and I don't know you, I'm not doing my job. Anyway,
or they're not. Somebody's not.
Somebody's not doing their job. But I'm constantly seeing posts like you guys are out to dinner and having fun. I mean, just the other night, bowling night.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
right.
You guys. It seems very consistent and often. I mean, how often do you guys get together? for team building, right? I mean,
we get together for team building weekly.
Yeah.
Whether it's a lunch, we like to get together for lunch.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Just come in, we can talk. You get ideas. You talk about things. Hey, I'm working on this. I've got that going on. What would you do in this situation?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a great thing. And then, I'd say once every maybe 3 weeks, we try to do something outside the office.
Sure.
So, the bowling was a fun. I really believe if you do everything well, whether it's work hard or play hard, it will be better.
Yeah.
I totally believe that. I think it's important to have fun and to enjoy, your relationships with the agents and the culture. And it's just we just have so much fun.
Yeah.
And then when that's over, we get back to work.
Right.
And,
right. I know your crew, they like to have fun.
They do like to have fun. They do like to have fun.
So staying busy in this market, we've been talking about market conditions up and down all over the place. Where do most of the leads come from? Is it really word of mouth and past clientele that are referring business? Are you doing online?
It's a combination of a lot of things. Now, the one thing we don't do, we don't buy leads.
Yeah.
We don't buy leads. But what we do, a lot of it is repeat customers by doing a great job. And I say this to the agents. I say, I don't want you to do as many deals as you can if they're not done well.
Correctly. Yeah.
That's what I want, right? Mm-hmm. So I want you, if I would rather have you do 10 deals great than 15 not
I
great.
get it, because you can run into problems.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Borrowers calling a couple months later, like, you didn't tell me this, or this happened, or this property wasn't what the seller said it was. Then you got to deal with all this stuff. Right.
So the repeat customer's huge, but then we're huge on social media.
Yep.
We still, there's we do print media, right? So
Sure,
people say, "Oh, print media is dead." Well, you know what? It's not dead for everybody. There are still some people out there that's why they do a newspaper. That's right.
Yeah. If no one was reading it, they'd stop.
That's right.
It'd only be online.
So we do that. So we take a very much of a shotgun approach. We leave no stone unturned.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We just try to cover everything.
So last topic, and then we'll let you roll out of here, or we're gonna smash this giant growler right here, right? Drink local, guys. Anyways, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the news with mortgage rates, the new loan level pricing adjustments that Fannie Freddie have come out with, which is FHFA, which is the they oversee Fannie and Freddie, right? And there's been a lot of talk about, hey, if you're a high credit score borrower, you might as well not buy because they're just hitting you, and then the 620 credit score is getting a better deal. There is a ton of misinformation out there. Now, just to set the story straight, right? So I talked about LLPAs 3 or 4 weeks ago, had a video. So I do encourage you guys to check that out, and you can actually see the numbers in the charts to see the real story. Are they dinging high credit score borrowers? Yes, they are.
Right.
Are you getting a better deal with a lower credit score? No, you are not. So the way that some of these people are talking, that it just makes more sense to have a lower credit score, put less money down than a high credit score borrower, is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of this stuff on social media that's going out there and the news channels? And
I would recommend that you talk to your lender. Right.
Just get it. Get the story. There's
get the
so
story
much.
Straight, right?
Jeez. I'm surprised some of these news outlets are saying what they're saying because they have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
Is the way that FHFA come out and trying to close the homeownership gap the correct way? No, it's not. They didn't do it right. 100%. Because they are dinging high credit score borrowers and high down payment borrowers. But the story they're spinning is so inaccurate. It's unbelievable. And when that stuff comes out, I can't tell you how many messages I got from local real estate agents. Hey, they share the story with me. Is this accurate? Is this true? Is this what's going on? No, it's really not.
It's not.
So So I'm going to tell you to watch the video.
Right.
Because I don't want to answer 300 people on the same thing over and over again. I just wanted to get your take, seeing if you're seeing it.
I am seeing it, and sometimes when I hear news like that, I'll reach out to you and I'll say,
absolutely.
Adam, this is what they're saying. Is that true?
Yeah.
And then you'll say, well, this is what's really going on.
Right, absolutely.
You know? So, and then I now know, because I went straight to the source, the guy who's an expert in that. Just like if you had a question about a real estate transaction, you might ask me.
I'm not going to make the assumption, be like, that's how it works.
Exactly.
I know, don't worry.
Right. So, just talk to a professional.
Yeah.
Whatever it's about.
Best advice you can give.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely.
So that is it for us, Tim. I really enjoyed having you.
I was
come
looking
on.
forward to this.
Yeah,
I was looking.
Yeah,
forward
we had to book it out a little bit farther because of schedules, but it was a great time. It was good getting to know you a little bit better, right? Because there's some tidbits that, especially some of our audience may not know about you, right? So really enjoyed that. Look forward to continue working with your office and hopefully bringing a much better market to Sydney here soon, right?
Sounds good.
So these rates should drop a little bit, and we'll get some sellers and some houses on the market. Guys, that's it for us this week. I really appreciate you stopping by. Remember, when you're watching the video, click it, like it, love it, share it with your friends. Subscribe on YouTube. We need some more of you out there. And check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we'll see you next week.